And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very exciting segment on the 17th day of September 2022. And in Brisbane, it is a beautiful weather today, 22 degrees and mostly cloudy. Well, today we have a very special interview coming in towards the end of the show today, where we'll be talking to Arpit Singh, the Vice President of GoPio Queensland, about the upcoming mental health seminar. But first up, let's take a look at what's making news on this very, very historic day in London.
We can see the number of people who've turned out to welcome the new king here in Wales. His first visit to this country as the new sovereign. He was the Prince of Wales here for more than 6 decades, but as I just mentioned, this will be his first trip as the new king. He has so far already today attended a service at a cathedral here in Cardiff and also a commemoration at the Welsh Parliament, but it is here at Cardiff Castle that the main public event will happen. And we've been speaking with the crowds here who've been lining up for hours hoping to get a glimpse of King Charles and possibly even say hello to him.
I come specifically to see the king. I've seen him as a prince a few times, but I really want to see him as a king, under very sad circumstances.
It is a pretty momentous occasion, isn't it?
Very historical.
To be fair, I'm not a massive royalist myself, but it's obviously it's a nice thing. It's something that makes us unique compared to other countries as well.
For me, it's about coming down and opposing what's being thrust upon Wales. For us, there's a huge independence movement going on at the moment. This is a huge moment for Wales, really, with a massive shift in perspective, and I think the young people around us all kind of feel that movement in what's going on in the future of Wales.
The crowds here say this has been their one opportunity to really see the new monarch, but also say goodbye to their former monarch. Many say it's not possible for them to go down to London and to stand in the queues to see Her Majesty as she lay in state. And so for them, this day has some very mixed emotions, an air of celebration, but also tinged with sadness.
Celebration combined with the sadness, and of course it is such an occasion because the king is appointed after the passing away of the queen, so of course there's the two go hand in hand, and so it is a joyous occasion and it is also a very, very sad occasion. Well, right now getting back to Australia, COVID testing could be back in ICT.
For many Canberrans, COVID-19 is no longer front of mind.
You can worry yourself to death if you worry about everything that there is to worry about.
Are you particularly worried about COVID-19 at the moment at all?
No, not at all.
Concern from authorities about the pressure on hospitals has also eased.
We've definitely seen a drop-off in emergency department demand in terms of numbers, but the complexity of those presentations continues to remain quite high.
That's prompted the government to consider changes to PCR testing. At this stage, the Garran Clinic will remain open, but other testing sites could soon be wound down.
It is an expensive thing to provide a PCR test, and we know that more and more people are relying on rapid antigen testing, and for those who are not at risk of severe illness as a result of COVID-19, rapid antigen testing is a good alternative.
Meanwhile, walk-in centres like this one in Tuggeranong, which had its opening hours temporarily reduced earlier this year, are now welcoming younger patients with the minimum age for treatment lowered from 2 years old to 1.
That's where my initial rationale was, having come from a children's hospital, and I just thought there was no difference in how we treated a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Authorities don't expect this will add to pressure on the centres and are bolstering the skills of staff.
We have made a commitment through the budget in relation to our election commitment to ensure that all walk-in centres have a nurse practitioner on staff on all shifts, so that will be rolled out over the next 3 years.
The government has promised to reopen the Inner North walk-in centre as soon as possible. Harry Frost, ABC News, Canberra.
So there you go. As was mentioned, that why would you, not test a 1-year-old, but you test a 2-year-old? So there we go. It is a good sign that the numbers are being reduced. So that is good, and that people are more reliant on the rapid antigen test as well. Well, right now, another good news. The first cruise ship to return to Melbourne since the COVID ban.
An industry crippled by COVID cruises back into Melbourne for the first time in 2.5 years, with 2,000 excited passengers.
Ian, what are you hoping to do while you're here? Shopping.
We're going to Chadstone.
Using the credit card.
A colourful welcome for the Coral Princess. The first of 112 major cruise ship visits scheduled for Melbourne this summer season.
300,000 passengers to come via cruise ships. That's bigger than the size of Geelong.
We love Melbourne and we are so glad to be back.
And it's not just big boats. Expect to see more planes too, with United Airlines set to fly daily between Melbourne and the US.
So United is coming back bigger than they were pre-COVID.
All good signs for a tourism recovery. But the industry says there's still a long way to go, particularly with international travel.
We're only at about half, a little bit over half, of where we were prior to the pandemic.
The industry is now pushing this recovery plan with 23 recommendations for government. They include guaranteed funding for marketing bodies, an Avalon Airport rail link and a blueprint to revitalise the CBD. It also calls for tourism and travel TAFE courses to be made free.
The lack of a skilled workforce is probably the key thing that is impeding the pace and the scale of recovery.
With an election on the horizon, the industry is now lobbying to get both sides of politics on board. Brad Ryan, ABC News, Melbourne.
Getting on board, yes, and we love that big sign on the ship there saying, we love Melbourne. And, well, this is a sign of good times to come with the arrival of the first ship there, and hope that more will come, as has been said in the news. And there will be a lot more flights coming in as well, now that United's opening up more routes than before. Well, right now, going back to Canberra, take a look at the National Museum.
Entering feels otherworldly, but this gallery's story is familiar. It houses fragments of the Australian environment and symbols of significant national events.
People will find things here that they know or they think they know, but the real character of a museum is when we take you from the things that you know to the things that you don't.
Such as life-size orcas, representing those that were coaxed by whalers to help hunt humpbacks, a taxidermied saltwater crocodile, bones, ancient minerals, and a preserved thylacine. There's also a captivating tribute to the continent's First Nations people.
Aboriginal people see country like it is a family member. We love country, we care for country, we cry for country.
An environmental anthem was the soundtrack to the launch.
What I tried to do when I was writing the song was to actually have a conversation with a place, and I think if you do that, it will tell you what needs to be done.
A discovery centre for inquisitive minds has also been opened. The redevelopment encompasses 1/3 of the entire museum, and it was 5 years in the making, so those who have visited in the past will have much more to explore when they return. A national institution sharing uniquely Australian stories. Talia Roy, ABC News, Canberra.
And that's just wonderful, and I love the youngsters, the young ones going there with that inquisitive mind, looking at all the things and all the discoveries. Well, next up, this story will lead us into the interview for today, and the interview for today is with Arpit Singh, who is the Vice President of GoPio Queensland, and of course the convener of the Mental Health Seminar, which is going to be taking place. So this news here. No high-risk mental illness or ADHD for extremely premature babies. So when we look at the mental health illness, okay, is it only adults? How does it affect babies as well? So it is a growing concern.
Baby Holly was due in mid-May 1992. She arrived in March of that year.
They said there was no stopping the labour. I was 25 weeks pregnant.
She was born weighing just 881 grams.
Her little head just fitted in here, and her body and her legs just here. So when Holly was born, they told me that they didn't think that she would survive.
Being born extremely preterm does increase the chance that children can have medical complications.
A group of researchers has spent 3 decades following more than 170 children born extremely preterm and a comparison group born full-term into adulthood. The participants, like Holly, are now in their late 20s and 30s.
I was more than happy to be a part of it because I'd been a part of it for most of my life.
Previous studies have shown children born extremely early have an increased risk of ADHD. But this research, led by Melbourne's Royal Women's Hospital, found that by adulthood, that risk had diminished.
At 25 years of age, that extremely preterm born young people and full-term young people had similar rates of ADHD, anxiety, depression and substance use problems to each other.
This is one of the first long-term studies to measure adult mental health outcomes for premature babies who were born in the era of modern neonatal care. The researchers say it's a positive finding, which should help reassure parents of today's preterm babies. Survival rates of early babies continue to increase as the standard of care improves.
We've got more and more of these babies, children, young people who were born very early, so it's really important that we understand what the outcomes are for them.
Kate Ashton, ABC News, Melbourne.
And of course, today mental health is a big issue. And with that, let's go to the interview for today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special segment. And today we are going to be talking about something very important. As we know, we're coming on to the Mental Health Month. So with that, to talk about upcoming event, we'd like to welcome to the show Arpit Singh, the Vice President of Gopia, Queensland. Welcome to the show, Arpit.
Thank you so much, Umesh. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay, so now let's talk about the seminar. And when I was talking about that, what came to mind was your last mental health seminar, and I think the tagline there was "Let's talk about it." Oh, talk about it. Why don't you? Something like that. So, okay, moving on. Why is there a need for a mental health seminar? Yes, that's a really good question, Umesh, and that's what I was thinking of starting out with as well. As we all know, there's quite a lot of awareness about mental health issues, but people still, hold back from talking about it openly, and that stigma and that taboo of talking about mental health issues is still there in our society. And it should be as simple as, talking about any other physical ailments. But unfortunately, that's not there. And because of that, a lot of mental health issues increase because people are suffering in silence and they're not getting an opportunity to talk about it fully and openly. And to validate those facts, I've got these statistics here with me. So in the recent census, the Australian census that happened, it was found out that over 2 in 5 Australians aged between 16 to 85 years had experienced a mental disorder at some time in their life. Now, also 1 in 5 had a 12-month mental disorder, and anxiety was the most common group of 12 mental health disorders. So that explains that people are not talking about it, but it's there, and it's a known fact that each one of us goes through a subliminal anxiety or depression issues, but we're just not talking about it. So this is an initiative from my side and from Gopia Queensland in bringing this topic in discussion and starting a conversation especially within our community.
And that is very important. And one of the points that came to mind when you talked about, what the mental status and the mental health is, it goes back, in the prehistoric times, even in our mythologies. But people didn't know it then. There was I was just reading someone's interpretation of Bhagavad Gita. And they talked about the Arjun when he said to Krishna that why should I be fighting, and what is my role? And there Sanjay, who is reciting that, he uses the word that out of pity. But the person who is diagnosed with book, he says it wasn't pity; it was his mental disorder. His mind was not set, and there was other cases of that mental health, slight disorders in Arjuna, and so there was a kiva for that, which is Arjun kiva, which is another topic. But it has been there, and it has been for a long time. But you really need to identify. So what is the aim of the seminar? What do we aim to get out of this seminar?
Yes, Umeshji. So basically, as we know that everyone's going through the effects of this busy lifestyle that we all live in this day and age. Especially after COVID, people have realized the importance of getting out in the community and socializing with people. But that's also a challenge because everyone's been within their houses, limited there for so long. So getting out and socializing is also a big task. So bringing out these topics makes people feel that they're not the only ones suffering. So basically, this year we've got the theme of, it can be summarized in 3 words. The first is acknowledge, second is understanding, and the third is acting. So we'll be focusing on these 3 aspects of the whole mental health conversation, beginning with acknowledging all the facts and all the disorders and problems that we have, the understanding why it is what it is, and then coming up with action plans and strategies on how to mitigate that. And the aim is basically not just mental health awareness, but going beyond the awareness and actually making the whole society, whoever's coming, and all of us having those tools and strategies to be able to tackle any such incident in our lives or in the lives of our near and dear ones.
And that is so wonderful. As your tagline says, awareness and beyond. So that is very, very well said. And acknowledge, understand, and act. And the action is really need to be taken right now. So that is wonderful. So moving on, all the people who come there, so what would be, a good outcome, and what would be some expected takeaways from the seminar?
Of course. So first of all, that's one thing that I'm looking forward to, having a nice 3-course lunch at the iconic Brisbane City Hall, which is obviously a really good venue to go and mingle with people. The turn of events would be, there'll be a presenter from Black Dog Institute presenting a talk, and that girl has a lived experience of depression, so she'll be talking about that, which is very encouraging for people to talk about their issues. Then we'll have a panel discussion where we'll have academics from University of Queensland, QUT, and we'll have psychologists, psychiatrists, people from the government, and a wide range of people for a proper discussion that we can have in terms of the theme of the show, which is acknowledge, understand, and act. We'll open the floor to the Q&A session to the audience, and we'll have a very special dance performance by one of our community groups as well. So that's the flow of events, and there'll also be a movie screening, which will talk about the mental health issues further.
It sounds very good, and it looks like you've got a very good program. Going by the last one that you did, was very well received and very good feedback. So it's looking very, very good. Really looking forward to this event. Now, of course, our event of this nature cannot come about without the support. So, what sort of support have you got? Who and which organizations have supported you?
Absolutely, you absolutely read my mind there, Umeshji. I was just thinking of the people who've supported us, and this year we've got major fundings from Brisbane City Council and the Queensland Mental Health Commission. And we're very grateful for both these bodies to come on board with us and support this initiative within our community. We also have our special sponsors. Councillor Sandy Landers is there to support us as one of the sponsors. Cornerstone Law Offices, Pravanita Singh Pillai and Bob Pillai, they've always been supporters of our events and especially this initiative. And we have Copycat Printing. Again, Nisarg Shah, he's a very dear friend of Gopio and mine, and he supports all these causes as well. We have, of course, Australian Indian Radio and Brisbane Indian Times as well, supporting us in all our endeavors. And with the support of this huge team, we look forward to having everyone at this special lunch.
Wonderful to see that you've got good support, especially you got on board Black Dog Institute, Queensland Mental Health Commission, and you mentioned Brisbane City Council. So it is very good to see that kind of support. Now, of course, you mentioned Brisbane City Council and the iconic City Hall. Well, of course, venue-wise, you couldn't get a better venue, a more pleasing venue where there is, you sit down, cool, calm, enjoy in the, that good environment that gives you very good vibes there as well. Okay, so the venue
good value as well. Sorry to interject. It's pretty good value for money. We've tried to keep the ticket price as low as we could because understandably we would like more people to attend and be able to afford the ticket price. And I believe that the ticket cost more than justifies the offerings of the event, more than justifies the cost of the ticket. It's a 3-course lunch with drinks included and with an amazing show at an iconic venue.
And of course, you can't get better than that. So that's good value for money. And it's thanks to all the sponsors that, they could host an event of such magnitude with such a reasonable price. Well, so thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this very important information, especially in the mental health month of and this mental health awareness. It is the will of people like you who put forward ideas like this and put this plan to action and make it happen. Otherwise, it will always get put in the too hard basket and no one will do it. So the more, the better. And, in this day and age, people are talking about many things which they traditionally kept away, were taboo many times, many subjects. So kudos on you, to bringing this out, bringing it out to the community and raising this awareness. So Arpit, finally, is there any concluding remarks?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Umeshji. It's, people like me can only do, so much. It's also because of the community support and the community leaders like yourself who believe in the vision and support us. Basically, I would just like to invite each and every individual who's listening to this show to come and support this event. There would be many takeaways when you walk out of this event, like the feedback that we received last year, and it will definitely impact your life in one way or another, and will give you tools and techniques to deal with your life and to handle situations in your friends and families' lives as well. So please do come, and we'll make sure it's an event worth coming to.
And of course, it will be. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Gopia Queensland presents Mental Health Awareness and Beyond. Acknowledge, Understand and Act. And this is going to be held on the 25th of September from 11:30 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. at Brisbane City Hall, the main auditorium, King George Square. And you can go to events@humantix.com, and you can find the link there. Also, you can go on our website and our Facebook pages, and anywhere. You all need to do is just, even if you can't find any of this, just Google that. You'll find the link. And I'd highly recommend that you book in as soon as you can and come to this very, very important look. People go to many kinds of functions and events, but this is very important. This is the need of the day. This is what's happening in our community, and it will be wonderful to have all your company there. Come find out for yourself what's happening out there during this mental health awareness seminar. So once again, Arpit, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Umeshi. Thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special segment. And today we are going, and ladies and gentlemen, that was a very good segment there with Arpit Singh, the Vice President of GoPure Queensland, talking about the upcoming mental health seminar. But before we finish off for today, we'll take a look at all the functions and events that are taking place and find out more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is wonderful once again to have your company on this 17th day of September 2022, and 2022, and it is 22 degrees right here in Brisbane, mostly cloudy. If it stays this way tomorrow, it will be a wonderful day at Mosaic. So, if you're coming to Mosaic tomorrow, we'll see you there. And tonight, we'd like to see you all at the Aishwarya Kalaikuram and the annual Bharatnatyam concert. So there's so much that's happening right here in Brisbane, and Brisbane Indian Times and Australian Indian Radio would like to support as many community functions and events as possible. So enjoy the rest of the weekend, stay safe, and of course we'll catch up on Monday with the Daily India Report then as well. Well, right now it's time to say goodbye.